People, we are back with the Red Zone Room podcast. This is probably our first feature, our first podcast in like 3 weeks, probably without a feature.
I
But
know we're cranking them out.
oh yeah, we still got plenty more in line. Walter
Yes, sir.
Picks, Burns. We got a couple more up in the feature line. But we are going to talk about free agency signings today. There were a ridiculous amount. If anybody's watching on YouTube, we got a fat list right here of people to talk through.
Yep.
I personally had to make like 3 videos on TikTok about all the signings, but a couple teams made some huge moves. We got a couple teams we want to talk about overall, and then after that, we'll just get to some individual signings. I'll try to list off all of them. We're not going to talk about spend time on all of them, but we will go through all the signings. But we obviously have to start with the Patriots here. They have made some, I don't know, 6, 7 signings. Obviously, Tailgate's a Patriots fan, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah. So I feel like the one word that's really being associated with all the Patriots signings has got to be overpaid. And look, there's a little bit of bias, of course. I am a Patriots fan, but I feel like the word overpaid doesn't really tell the full story. Like, you need to realize that the Patriots, they have money to burn. Like, they have so much money to just spend, and they're not like stupidly just throwing money at players. I just remember Matt Judon wanting $20 million and he sells for 14, and people are still claiming that he's overpaid. And I'll even agree to an extent, but I don't think it's ridiculous. I don't think any of the contracts that they gave out to the players or anything too ridiculous. I first want to start off and just say Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. I like both of the signings. I'm not over the moon about both of them together. I probably would have preferred only one of them if you were to tell me that they would have spent the other money to go after a receiver. But look, if this is the best case scenario, then I'm all for it. I do like the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez comparison, of course, but come on, those guys combined for 22 or 2,300 yards. That's not going to happen. I would expect anywhere between 1,500 yards from the two of them. I think that one of the biggest flaws in the Patriots last year was their inability to have any passing touchdowns, any threats in the red zone. Jonnu Smith, had 8 touchdowns last year. All of them came in the red zone. He obviously gives you a threat. Both of them are tight ends, but I think Hunter Henry is more of your wide tight end. He's your down the field option. And Jonnu Smith, he's your versatile. He can work behind the line of scrimmage. He can do many different things. I like all of the signings. If you look at your 3 biggest needs, you have quarterback, receiver, and edge rusher. You addressed 2 out of the 3 needs. One, either Cam Newton or someone else. Hopefully they'll address that position. But look, they're addressing the positions of need. Whether you think that they fulfill it perfectly by signing Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, or you want more, that's all subjective. But at least they're addressing the position. And if you're a Patriots fan, that's all you can really ask for. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I like what they did. I agree with the Judon. I think it was a little bit of an overpay. I think he was going to get overpaid by anyone because I don't think he's worth the money that he wanted. But it's still a good signing regardless. I think because I guess obviously it was a need. The tight ends, they definitely became a top 5 tight end core at least. I was surprised they got both of them. I was kind of salty too because I thought the Colts were going to get Hunter Henry, but yeah. Henry and Johnny, that's a damn good tight end core, but
is that best in the NFL? Duo, I will say.
I don't know.
Because obviously you got Kelsey in Kansas City, you got Kittle in San Fran. I just can't think of a duo that's as good as that.
I'd throw up 49ers, Kittle and Jordan Reed up there, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's something I have to look at, but yeah, and the quarterback is obviously still shaky. I wouldn't count him out of still trying to get Watson or whatever. But, I wouldn't say it's likely. They paid Cam. I think they trust Cam. I think they like him to be the starter, to be honest. But I like the receiver signing of Aguilar. I'm not sure how much of an effect Kendrick Bourne's going to have because I think Jacoby Myers is good. Damiere Byrd's decent. You still got Edelman. I don't even know what the point of the Bourne sign. It's not like you paid him a lot, but yeah. But the Aguilar, I think Aguilar is good, but I still think, I mean, it's good. It's good to have those guys. I think, but I thought they would have targeted somebody like, Galladay or Juju or something. They still need that wide receiver one, but overall, I think they definitely moved from what a bottom three receiver core to an
I
average
still think
receiver
they
core.
might go for a guy like that. And I know it's crazy to say. I understand that, but like if you look at the actual like contract details with all the players they've signed, they structured them so well where a lot of the money doesn't really go to their cap hit. So they still have like I want to say 25 30 million dollars still to spend in free agency, and a lot of the reports from a lot of verified people are saying the Patriots are, and I quote, nowhere near done yet. So look, maybe I'm just naive and really just want to see more news break by someone, but like I could definitely see them making some more moves. I would assume more on the defensive side of things, more like the front seven. I just think, I mean, they've signed what, four guys, receivers. So we'll have to see, but I don't know. I think if you look at free agency, I think the top three receivers are still on the board. You got Will Fuller, Juju, and Kenny Galladay all still on the board. We'll get into Marvin Jones in a second. Love that signing, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I still think. I mean, I heard somebody the other day. I forget who it was, but they were like, "Oh my god!" Like after 2 days of free agency signings, and they're like, "You know what? We might see a Patriots versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl." And I was like, "Well, okay, pump the brakes, pump the brakes." Not,
No,
I still don't think they're a front AFC contender or anything. You still got the Bills, Chiefs.
no. Right now, I'd probably put him at fourth or fifth in fourth or fifth in the conference. Maybe sixth. I don't know. It's tough. It's a
It's
really tough team to gauge. First of all, you got to see how these players are going to mesh together. Second of all, is what's Cam Newton going to do? He's going to be better. Like, I think you and I can agree that he's going to be better. How much better is left to discretion, but he will be a better quarterback from 2020 if he is given the start. I don't know. They will not win the division right now. That's what I will say. There's a lot of free agency still to go, but
personally,
right now,
I definitely still think the Bills are better, and I would not
yeah,
hesitate to put the Dolphins above them still, in my opinion. I
no,
mean, the Dolphins still have some moves to make,
yeah,
but
I think the Patriots are the better team. I don't know. I think they're better than the Dolphins.
okay. Well, I think let's get into some Tennessee Titans talk. They lost some guys, they signed some guys. I'll start off with this one, but they lost Corey Davis, they lost Jonnu Smith offensively, so that offense and Ryan Tannehill missed out. They that was probably a loser of free agency right there. The defense signed Janoris Jenkins and lost Adoree Jackson. Then they signed Bud Dupree to a fat contract and Danico Autry from the Colts D lineman. Personally, I think the Jenkins one was okay. It's whatever. The Bud Dupree one, I think, was an overpay for sure. I do still think Bud Dupree is a dog though. So like I can't say it's just a terrible move or anything, but they definitely overpaid him. I don't know, but at the same time, that defense needed some help. And Danico Autry, I love that signing. That was a hated to lose him from the Colts. He was a pretty damn underrated player. I think he was the second best D lineman on our team, so I like that signing. But overall, I don't know how much. I don't think the Titans got better through the people they lost and the contracts and all.
Yeah, I think overall, I think there are losers from it because another guy, Adam Humphries, they lost in free agency. So they lost three players on offense that were garnering targets from Tannehill last year. And you can't really replace that all in one off season. And if they're gonna want to contend in the AFC North, South, South, sorry, South. They're gonna need offense outside of AJ Brown and Derrick Henry. Again, I think you I don't think they like I think that the term overpaid is being used so loosely right now over the NFL. The Titans, they had money to spend and they needed defense. So Bud Dupree is the best linebacker in the class, and they paid what they needed to get him there. So I don't necessarily know if like overpaid is a bad. This sounds I know it sounds dumb. I get that. I just don't know if overpaid is necessarily a bad thing in this situation. They paid him what they need in order to make their team better, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure if it does, but like, I don't know. When you see a player of Bud Dupree's caliber and he's willing to come to your team under this, like, contract, I feel like it's tough to pass that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's people all over saying, "Oh, what a terrible signing! One of the worst of free agency." And I can understand that they definitely paid him too much money, but at the same time, not only was that defense a weakness last year, and Bud Dupree is going to be a huge help to that defense, they also lost offensive guys, and it was one of those things where like you gotta make your team better in some way, even if you have to overpay. So.
Yeah, I mean, they lost so many guys, you just got to bring someone in. So I completely agree with you.
Yep. So let's go to the Jaguars. They had a lot of signings going on. They signed receivers Marvin Jones and Philip Dorsett. They signed running back Carlos Hyde from the Seahawks, and they signed defensive back Shaquille Griffin from the Seahawks. So I'll hand it over to you.
Big winners. I don't know if they're bigger winners than the Patriots. I think they're pretty comparable, honestly, because I love what Jacksonville is doing. Jacksonville is one of those smaller market teams that has a lot of money to spend, but they're not going like the Raiders, and they're not just like dumping their money on people. They're being very like choice in what they're doing. What I love about them is Marvin Jones is not a top 3 receiver in the free agency class, but he's like that second tier guy, and they got him, right? They spent a good amount of money on Shaq Griffin, but it's because they needed him. Like, I love the contracts they're giving out. They're not giving ridiculous money to anybody, but they're building up their team piece by piece, and they're getting ready for Trevor Lawrence. I really, really like the team that they're building. I mean, they lost DJ Chark, so I think that's kind of gave a little bit of an incentive to sign Marvin Jones, but they got him offensive line. The offensive line was obviously an issue last year, so you protect him with Orlando Brown. I like everything Jacksonville is doing right now. I don't see anything wrong with it. They're not tying themselves down to anything, which I think is good when you're a rebuilding football team.
Yeah, by the way, people, we're recording this on Tuesday night at 11 p.m., March 16th. So if
Mhm.
you're listening to this and we're not talking about a signing that happened, it's because it hasn't happened
Yeah,
yet
very
while
good,
we're
very good
recording this.
point. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the set one was kind of irrelevant to me. You got DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault, even Keelan Cole, I think are better than him. Add Marvin Jones to that. I think this Jaguars receiving core is pretty underrated. I didn't really think that they were going to go out and get a receiver because I like the receivers they have now, and I think if you put Trevor Lawrence back there, I think Chark and Chenault are going to have great years next year. I'm a huge fan of Laviska Shenault.
Well,
Um,
isn't Chark in Baltimore now because they traded him for Orlando Brown?
what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that report.
Talking about?
Yeah, DJ Chark got traded. Oh, Jaguars hilariously shoot down DJ Chark trade rumors.
I was
I
gonna say what
swear
the.
to God, I saw a report. Yeah,
Let's say
if DJ
what the.
Chark was being traded from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Baltimore Ravens, you would think co-owner Tony Khan would be one of the first people to know about it. Wow, so it wasn't real.
No,
Huh.
idiot.
Oh, well, some verified account on Twitter posted about it. Super Bowl Nation. Wow.
Huh.
Huh. That's okay. So they completely disregard what I was saying about Orlando Brown. My apologies. I thought he got traded.
Well, anyway, I love the Carlos Hyde signing. To be honest, obviously they didn't have to pay him too much. Running back, it's going to be a backup to James Robinson, who's a dog. But when James Robinson missed time last year, their offense took a huge step back, and I think Carlos Hyde is one of those guys that can fill that void pretty well if Robinson were to get hurt again. I mean, Hyde's one of the best backups I think you can have. But the defensive side, I thought maybe they can still make some more moves, but so far all they've signed was Shaquille Griffin, and that defense was not good last year. That's where I was saying I was kind of surprised they went after a few receivers because I think the defense was really where they needed help. But Shaquille Griffin, that's a good signing, but I still think they got some work to do. But I think they're definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah, they also brought in Malcolm Brown, which I like a lot. They actually
No,
paid
they
him.
didn't.
Yes, they did. Saints agreed to trade Malcolm Brown to the Jaguars.
Malcolm Brown, the running back from the Rams.
No, defensive tackle from the
Oh, okay, wrong Malcolm Brown.
played for the Patriots. Yeah, no, different Malcolm Brown. Went to the Jaguars. I like it. He's a good run stopper ever since he was drafted in New England. Again, a cheap guy. He's a plug and play, but he'll give you good time up there. Just plugging up the middle. Like this is what I like about Jacksonville. They're not tying themselves down to any individual player. They're making um, you know, good precision signings. I don't know. I like what they're doing right now. They're not throwing money at anybody, which I think is very smart.
All right, well, I think those were really all the teams um, we had to like had a lot of takeaways from. But I mean, obviously there was other teams that had multiple signings, and we'll get into that. I want to start with the couple of the Ravens signings. They re-signed Tyus Bowser, but they lost Matt Judon and they lost Yannick Ngakoue, and they also signed Kevin Zeitler from the Giants. I think that one is one they definitely needed. Their interior line was not very good last year. Um, and Kevin Zeitler, I mean, I don't know if anyone knows who he is, but he was probably the best O lineman on the Giants, and they had to cut him for some cap space to get Leonard Williams back. Um, but the Tyus Bowser, I think that was a very, very good. They needed to re-sign him. I mean, you had him, Yannick Ngakoue, and Matt Judon were all free agents, and I think most people knew that they were going to lose two of them and keep one of them. I think Tyus Bowser was definitely the guy to keep.
Yeah, they could definitely afford to lose two of those guys, and I do think Bowser was a solid keep. I really, really love the Zeitler signing because I recorded a podcast about it earlier, saying that wide receiver is a big need, but for everybody who thinks that it's just wide receiver, I mean it's absolutely ridiculous. I argued that potentially interior O line might have been a bigger need for this Ravens team. Um, and I just think it's a great signing. I've heard Rodney Hudson's name potentially thrown around to be signed by the Ravens after being dropped by the Raiders. Again, we'll have to see how that unfolds, but I just you got to protect Lamar. You got to make sure he has time in the pocket so he can make throws. But you bring in this. I think he was a Pro Bowler, wasn't he? Or he was a borderline Pro Bowler. He was solid. Uh, you bring him in. There's a lot of pressure on Lamar this year, so we'll have to see what happens. But I like the signing.
Yeah, I definitely agree that everyone was like, all they need is one receiver in their Super Bowl. They had more problems than that, play calling, all that, and definitely interior line. That O line's not as good as it was the year before, for sure. I think Zeitler can make a difference, but I was also very surprised to see, they missed out on Corey Davis, they missed out on Marvin Jones. There's obviously still a few receivers out there in free agency, but they can't go without getting a receiver through this offseason for sure. But I think they'll end up getting something going. I don't know about Juju or Galladay or Will Fuller or maybe draft somebody, but that's still a problem they're gonna have to have. But you mentioned, Rodney Hudson being cut. I'm not really sure what the Raiders are doing. Traded Trent Brown, cut Rodney Hudson, who is debatably one of the best centers in the league. So that confused me. Apparently, they just want to restructure their whole offensive line.
Yeah. Don't really understand that. But I do want to preface one more thing about the Ravens. Don't be surprised if they go out and get a receiver, because obviously the big four names for receivers are being thrown around a lot, and I think one of them is bound to fall to the second round. So pretty close to the Ravens at 27. I could definitely see them picking a receiver there. If not, I think Galladay would fit really well in that system. Big guy who can catch contested balls. I'd like to see him there. I don't know. I do think they need to sign someone. I don't necessarily know if it has to be, to Galladay's caliber, but they got to get someone. It is definitely a need.
All right, let's go over to the Jets then, who I think they've had one of the best free agency days out of anyone. Signed Carl Lawson to a very cheap contract. I think a top three steal of these free agency signings. Um, and then what am I missing? Corey Davis. Wow, what a great signing that was. He has potential to be a wide receiver one, I'd say. I don't know if I'm ready to put him there yet. But he was definitely one of the top five free agent wide receivers, and they signed him to a pretty cheap contract. The Jets are making some good moves right now.
Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant about Corey Davis. I think he's great, but I feel like people are very quick to forget the fact that people were calling him like a major bust before this season. And I mean, he didn't even hit 1,000 yards. So I don't know. What was it? 12 million a year for him. Not sure how much of that is guaranteed, but again, I'm just happy because hopefully they stick with Sam Darnold, and if they are, then they're finally getting him some help because I've been dying for that forever now. But look, this is that now. I think after 4 years, there are no more excuses for Corey Davis. This is it. If he can't show out as the number one receiver, then he's a bust. Like I just don't know what else there is to really say about the guy. I think 12 million is definitely a little bit of a stretch for Corey Davis, but again, it's one of those things where the Jets have money, so when you have money, you spend the money. So I'm not gonna be contradictory to what I was saying about the Patriots. I'm gonna stick with what I was saying. Probably a pretty good signing. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. I think it's one of those. It's obviously the big move. I think Corey Davis, like I said, was a top 5 free agent wide receiver, but like they had a bottom 3 receiving core, just like the Patriots did, and I didn't obviously sign a whole bunch of receivers like the Patriots, but just the Corey Davis signing, who I think was probably a top 25-ish receiver or so this season at least. Um, that elevates that to it's probably still a bottom 10 receiving core, but it's definitely, you know, borderline top 20 receiving core. I'd say bottom line, that helps him out a lot on offense. No matter if you're going to have Darnold back there, Zach Wilson, Fields, whoever the hell you take, that's a good move. The Lawson one, I think, was one of the best free agent moves out there, though. That was cheap. He's very underrated. I think he's going to be an animal at some point. And him across from Quinn and Williams, that could be a scary D line.
Yeah, I do like the Lawson signing a lot. Obviously, I think the Bengals were just trying to recoup their losses by signing Trey Hendrickson. But I will say, the more I think about it, I actually didn't think about this before. I probably should have written it down, but like, didn't the Jets sign or draft Denzel Mims to be like Corey Davis? Like, I feel like they kind of just signed the same player as Denzel Mims. I don't really, so that's another reason where I guess I don't necessarily understand the sign. I mean, they're both red zone threat, big receivers that can make contested catches. So
I mean,
I
I
don't
guess
know.
Corey Davis is a proven Denzel Mims.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good point. I just think Denzel Mims wasn't really given a shot. It was his rookie season, so um, I don't know. Overall, like I don't know. I guess like I said again, when you have the money, you pull the trigger. So they had the money. Why not?
Yeah, so I guess we'll go over to the Bengals, who I personally think they really should have prioritized keeping Carl Lawson, but I guess they got Trey Hendrickson to fill that. I think Carl Lawson's better than Trey Hendrickson, but they made up for it a little bit. They also signed Mike Hilton at corner, who I think Mike Hilton was a very underrated corner for the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not one of those things. Like I guess being a Patriots fan and seeing how they normally build from the inside out. I would have preferred the Bengals to keep Carl Lawson, like you were saying, over Trey Hendrickson, but I'm not going to necessarily lose sleep over it. Um, I just don't know why they haven't signed. To my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Why they haven't necessarily signed any O linemen yet?
Yep, yep,
Don't think they
that was
have.
weird.
Yeah. So I don't get that because if you look at not San Diego. When you look at LA, they signed the best center in the NFL. I'm pretty sure they brought in some guy from Matt Filer, something like that.
Yep.
I mean, they're bringing in offensive linemen. They're bringing in bodies to protect Justin Herbert, their franchise quarterback. And I think if you're the Bengals, what's stopping you? And there's one of those things where I saw, like a winners and losers thing, and how the Seahawks are one of the losers because they haven't brought in any offensive linemen, and they put them like at a bigger loser than the Bengals. And I guess I understand to an extent, but one of my things is like the Seahawks aren't spending money anywhere. It's not like the Seahawks are spending a ton of money on like one position and just completely disregarding the offensive line. Like they're not even spending money at all. The Bengals are actually spending money. They're just completely disregarding the offensive line as a whole, which I just that's kind of, I guess pissing me off even more is because they're assessing needs on this team and they're prioritizing offensive line under these other needs. I mean, you drafted Burrow number 1 overall and you're just not protecting him. I'm like, did you watch the guy tear his ACL? Like, I don't know, in his rookie year. So I don't know. Like the Bengals, that's a really tough team to gauge right now. Again, it's only day 2, so we'll have to see. It's not even day 2. The free agency hasn't even opened yet, so we'll have to see. But I don't know. I think the Bengals need to sign some more offensive linemen. At least a few offensive linemen until we can really gauge how well this team is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still got. There's probably a couple more options. Maybe they snag Trent Williams or someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they still got a little bit of time, but they can't go through this offseason without helping out Joe Burrow. I assume they're going to take Penei Sewell if he's there, hopefully. But still, like you said, the Chargers, the Chargers offense, man, great receiver core, great quarterback, great running backs. It was only that offensive line that kept them from being a top 10 elite offense. And if they can help structure that, the defense could use some work. But they have talent. They have a new coach. I think the Chargers will be good next year. But that helping that offensive line, they're doing that right. And I think the Bengals got to hop on that train at some point here. But I want to talk about the Leonard Floyd signing for the Rams. What do you think about that one?
Again, a lot of people saying, "Oh, overpaid," and I think it's one of those things where I'll compare him to Matt Judon. Matt Judon had 6 sacks and really performed well in Baltimore. So let's say he signed the same contract in Baltimore, or he signed like a $17 million deal. I don't think he would have been overpaid because he proved to you that he performs really well and he's worth $17 million in Baltimore, right? If you want to tell me he's overpaid because of $14 million in New England because it's a completely different system, different scheme, different worse players around him, fine. You could definitely sell me on that. But when you look at Leonard Floyd, he has 10.5 sacks last year, right? Next to Aaron Donald. And they sign him back for, I forgot how much money it was. It was a lot of money. I don't see how that's overpaying because he proved to you he performs really well in that system. So if he gets 10.5 sacks next year, or if he gets anything close to that, then I don't see how you overpaid for him because he already proved to you that he plays well in your system. If a different team paid him that money and he went somewhere else, then fine, you can argue that because he of course doesn't have Aaron Donald to help him out and he's in a completely different system, different scheme. I get that. But he's still on the Rams. So I don't see how that is a crazy overpay, but I would love to know what you think about that.
I think if the Rams were not in win now mode, then it would have been a bad signing because I think I think he's replaceable.
Completely forgot to say that.
But the fact that they're in win now mode and like you said, he's proven that he is a big piece of that defense. Like I said, I think he can be replaceable. I think it comes with Aaron Donald's success and all that. But the fact that they're in win now mode, you can't just let him walk. It's okay to overpay him, I think, in my opinion. So, and they lost John Johnson. So that would hurt a little bit. I think you had to have re-signed one of them. Hopefully they re-signed Darius Williams too. But I don't really think they had much of a choice.
Yeah, that was another point that I forgot to bring up. I'm glad you did because, when you look at it oh my God, I'm completely blanking out. I'm completely spacing out.
Idiot.
Oh my God. Just say something. I completely just lost my train of thought. I'm so tired.
All right. Let's hop on to the next one then. I think we got to bounce out on that.
Yeah.
The Dolphins picked up Malcolm Brown at running back from the Rams and traded for Jacoby Brissett from the Colts. Thoughts on that?
I mean, maybe a little bit of an overreaction, but I just think it's kind of ensuring more, or just kind of putting that thought more into our heads that the Dolphins aren't completely sold on Tua. And of course, that might be a slight overreaction because Fitzmagic did leave to go to a different team, so that backup role was vacant. And I think Jacoby Brissett is a very solid backup role, who we saw in Indianapolis could actually be used as a starter for at the 1 yard line to rush in and stuff like that. But I don't know, like a little part of me does think that the Dolphins aren't necessarily sold because I feel like, you know, signing a backup quarterback is one of those things you can do on like day 3, day 4 of free agency. You don't need to do that on day 2. So, it's something to monitor. But again, I still think Tua's the guy. I think the Dolphins they believe that to an extent. We'll just have to see what happens, how that unfolds.
Yeah, like I think we're both believers in Tua, and I think the Dolphins believe in him too. But I think I don't know. It could be viewed as a move where it's insurance for Tua because you're not big on him, or it can be viewed as I think they believe in him, but they know that he could have a type of year they had this year where they're benching him for Fitzpatrick. They lost Fitzpatrick, and I think Brissett. Not that he's this great quarterback. I don't think he would be a top 20 starter anyway, but he's a serviceable quarterback. I think the year he had with the Colts, we went like 8-8, 7-9, or something like that. When Andrew Luck retired, he wasn't terrible. But I think he's a serviceable quarterback. And say Tua gets hurt, or maybe Tua fails. I think Brissett is still a guy that could get you into the playoff, considering they almost made it this year with kind of subpar quarterback play because they have a great defense. And I assume that they're gonna get some more weapons on offense for him. Malcolm Brown, I think, was a little bit underrated signing once again because I like Gaskin. I do. I think he deserves carries, but he's not a starter, in my opinion. I think they could have a nice little 1-2 punch with Gaskin and Malcolm Brown. I don't think they're going to be getting any more running backs. So they're going to focus on receivers and maybe another linebacker to replace Kyle Van Noy. But I don't know. I like both those moves, to be honest.
Yeah, what do you think the Dolphins need to do to get to that next level? Because obviously, I think they went 10-6 last year, maybe 11-5, 10-6. So, what do you think they need to do to?
I mean, they lost Van Noy, which was rightfully so because they overpaid him for sure last year.
Nope.
And he didn't really. I mean, he didn't have a bad year, but he didn't really live up to his contract, so that's why they had to cut him. I like Jerome Baker though. I mean, their defense was I think even without Van Noy, it's probably still a top 10 defense, and maybe they can draft someone in like second or third round. But I think they use that third pick to get a receiver, because obviously Preston Williams was terrible last year. Parker was hurt, and I think in my opinion, he's still a bit unproven to me. I think he had a great year in 2019, whatever, last last year, but obviously he played injured this year. I think they need a receiver. They still got Jasicki. I think the Malcolm Brown signing was pretty good. Like I said, their O line was average. I think they can use another offensive lineman, but I think they're pretty close there, and I believe in Tua. But
Yeah.
um, Bears Andy Dalton.
I just, it's not like I hate the signing. It's just I'm very confused because I just don't really know where this team is going. Um, it's kind of reminds me of what the Patriots did. Like it's just a bridge quarterback. Um, but I don't know what they're bridging to. You know what I mean? Like I just think like very similar to the Patriots. I don't know what the Patriots are setting up for because there's been no indication they're going to draft a quarterback. There's been no indication that they're thinking of giving the franchise to Stidham. Like I just don't. There's no one in line for the Bears. Mitch Trubisky is a free agent, and I don't think the Bears have any want to sign him back. Could be wrong about that. Is Nick Foles still under contract in Chicago?
I assume. I
I'm
think
gonna
that was
look into
more than
that.
a 1 year deal, but
Yeah, I think he's still yeah, he's still under contract there in Chicago. So I think that actually confuses me even more because I feel like Andy Dalton is the same thing as Nick Foles. In the sense where neither of those guys are going to get you to the next level. Neither of those guys are long-term options. So I don't get that.
I think
I don't understand it.
I think they are in win now mode. That whole coaching staff is gone after this year if they don't have a successful year. And I think they're obviously going completely all out for Watson and Wilson, rightfully so, because that coaching staff knows they're gone if it doesn't work out this year. Um,
Then why
But
would you bring in Andy Dalton for 10
I
million?
think, I mean, what was it? A 1 year for 10 million, not too bad. I think, in my opinion, I think that coaching staff is thinking, all right, we know we're going all out for Watson or Wilson, and hopefully we can get one of them. But say one of them goes down, I don't know. Maybe they like Dalton a lot. I think, in my opinion, Dalton is a very serviceable quarterback in a good situation. I wouldn't say the Bears is a very good situation, especially if A Rob doesn't end up playing under that tag. But I think they viewed him as a very, very good backup, which I can agree with. And I think they're thinking, all right, we're going all out for one of these quarterbacks, but we also still need a backup option. But is he that much better than Trubisky as a backup?
But
I don't
my whole
know.
point is they already have their backup in Nick
Yeah,
Foles.
that's what. Yeah, I mean, they got to be
And the
thinking.
report said Andy Dalton is set to start.
Well, now I think he would start. Yeah,
So you
but
think they're
I
not going to
don't
put
think that's their
Russell
plan.
Wilson?
I think their plan is still. I mean, I saw something earlier out that they're still trying to go all out for Russell Wilson. I think that's still their plan. But I mean, right now,
I don't
Dalton
get
would be the starter.
that confuses me even more. There's
It's not
no
like they went
way
out and
there's
paid him
no
a bunch of money.
but the whole point is that they signed him and the report is that they want to start him.
I don't think that's their plan, to be honest. But who knows, man? It's the
Yeah,
Bears. It's the Bears.
exactly. Who knows, man? Like what is this team trying to do? What is their goal? They're in such a tough spot right now where they don't really have like that many young players. And now the reports saying they're going to try to trade away Anthony Miller. Like I just seem like
He's
they're
not.
clean.
He's not good, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just very confused. Oh, I'm thinking of Darnell Mooney, not Anthony Miller. I'm thinking of Darnell Mooney. Um, I just don't know what they're doing right now. I'm very confused.
Okay, let's talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick to the Washington Football Team.
I like it. From a football fan standpoint, I would really love to see Ryan Fitzpatrick have a shot to win something. And if that means a chance to go to the playoffs, then count me in and I'll punch my ticket to that. So, I'd like to see Fitzpatrick succeed. So that's fun to watch. But again, it's one of those things where I think Washington looked at the quarterback market and there was nothing that really excited them. And they kind of don't really think that Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson's a possibility. So they're settling for that bridge quarterback. And what draft pick do they have this year? It's 19. I mean, is Trey Lance gonna fall to 19? I think that's absolutely a possibility. So are they trying to settle for a guy like that? Who knows? But again, I just it's another one of those things. I don't really know what their plan is. I don't know what a lot of these teams' plans are when they sign these past their prime bridge quarterbacks to 1 year, 10, 11, $12 million deals, and they have no young quarterback behind them. That's where it completely loses me. I guess Washington, I understand a little bit more because they still have like a solid roster around them. But overall, I don't get it.
I love it. I love this Fitzpatrick signing. I think obviously they really wanted Stafford. I think they were in the running for Dak if he didn't re-sign. They wanted him, and I think maybe they realized they're not one of the front runners for Deshaun Watson. And I think Fitzpatrick was a very, I mean, he was top five in a lot of stats this year when he played, like quarterback rating and efficiency stats. He was a great quarterback this year, and I'm not saying he is an elite quarterback or anything, but I think he's the perfect guy. I'm not going to talk about Heineke because I don't know how to judge him off that one game. He played great, but who knows if he's a starter or not. They'll have a little battle going on for sure. But if Fitzpatrick ends up getting that, I think he's 100% somebody that can get them to the playoffs. They have a great defense. We know that. I think if they can get somebody like Rashad Bateman in the draft, pair him out with Terry McLaurin, they already have Logan Thomas. Their offensive line is good. They just franchise tag Brandon Scherf, and they got Gibson back there in the backfield. I think Fitzpatrick might be the perfect piece. Obviously, not to make them, you know, this like top tier Super Bowl contender for the next few years or anything like that. That would have been a Stafford or Watson ideal move. But I think where they realize they are right now, I think this Fitzpatrick signing was great, and I think that they could definitely be a playoff team with him.
Okay.
I loved it.
If you're Washington and you're sitting on draft night and at number 19, you have Trey Lance sitting there.
I don't think he will be. I don't think there's any way he'll be there.
What people think that like all these quarterbacks are gonna like fly in the top 10. Like one of them is bound to fall. I think one of them is going to fall. A lot of the reports are saying Trey Lance is going to go anywhere between 15 and 30. That's like the most popular one I've been seeing from analysts.
You don't think that the 5 quarterbacks will be gone before 19?
I don't know.
I think they definitely will. I don't have
I think there's a lot of teams like Washington, Chicago, and who else? Can't think of anybody else who are signing these veteran quarterbacks to 1-year deals, and they're kind of going to ride them out for the year and then see what happens. I don't necessarily know if a lot of them are going to pick quarterbacks. It's gonna come down to like these swing teams. It's gonna come down to like the Jets. Are they going to stick with Darnold? Or are they going to go with the quarterback? It's going to come down to Atlanta. Are they going to stick with Matt Ryan or are they going to go with quarterback? Like there's a lot of these teams where it depends on the dominoes are going to fall. I could see the 5 quarterbacks going in the top 15, but I could also see 1 or 2 of them potentially slipping to like 20 or 25. Like, I just think there's so much volatility with these guys that you never know. I'm just saying, if Trey Lance is there at 19 and you're Washington, do you take him?
No, I don't think so. Well, that also comes down to how big you are on Trey Lance. If
I'm just saying, you're Washington GM. Are you big on him or not?
I don't know. I'm not a draft guy, man. But if Rashad Bateman's there at 19 and Trey Lance is there, I'm taking Bateman. But you got the Jaguars; they're going quarterback. The Jets might, the Falcons might. The Eagles are rumored to. I don't know how much they really will be. The Lions might. The Panthers might.
Lions won't.
The Niners might. The who knows, man? Patriots. Who knows? That's 7. That's 7 maybes right in front of them. I could be missing somebody too.
Patriots have Mac Jones written all over them.
Yeah, who knows? But I don't think there's going to be a quarterback there for them at 19. I think
Kellen Mond, Washington is for the future.
No, but I think this. That's a good move. My opinion.
Yeah, like I said, from a fan standpoint,
they're not going to wait around and just hope that one of those quarterbacks fall to them instead of getting Fitzpatrick.
I feel like that's what Taylor Heineke was for.
I don't know. I think Fitzpatrick is going to be the guy next year. Once again, though, I'm not. I don't have an opinion on Heineke because he played great in the game, but I haven't seen anything else besides that game. But
people forget that Tampa Bay had a bottom 10 pass defense last year. I don't know.
Not this year, but
yeah, no, this year.
Bottom 10. I thought, yeah. I heard one of the worst, but
no.
Yeah, still. Okay, let's go to the Browns. Giving Mckinley another chance on a cheap ass $4 million deal for 1 year because he has not lived up to his hype after his great rookie year. And the
when was he drafted?
What?
When was McKinley drafted?
When?
Yeah, like what year?
2016, I want to say.
Was it really?
He was good his rookie year, and then he's just been so below average since. He's bounced around a few teams last year.
Yeah, 6 sacks his rookie year, 7 sacks his sophomore year. Yeah, they're not very good.
But John Johnson, the safety, tailgate said that they wouldn't go out and get defense because they couldn't afford it. But there you go.
That's not what I said.
You did.
No, it's not. I said I would put this team in a higher conversation if they got it. If they got like JJ Watt or something.
You said they couldn't though because they didn't have money.
Yeah, I said I know. I said in the future they won't have money because they're gonna have to spend it all on Baker Mayfield. But this offseason they have money. They absolutely do.
I don't know. That's not what I heard.
All right. Well, look, I'll stick by what I said. Next year, when they have to spend $30 to $35 million on Baker Mayfield, they're not going to be able to sign John Johnson and Jack Conklin. They can't, because you won't be having Baker Mayfield on your very pretty $7-8 million deal.
Johnson was on a 3-year deal.
No, they got a great contract with Johnson.
No, that was a cheap deal for, in my opinion, a borderline top 5 safety. I don't know if I put him up there, but I think he's 6 or 7 in the league. Great safety. Didn't have to pay too much for him. Let alone you got Delpit and Grady Williams coming back. I think they still need a linebacker in the draft, but this was a huge move. I think this is one of the best moves out there in free agency.
Oh, okay. So he's getting paid $1.25 million this year. Next year, $4 million, and the year after that, 8.75. So progressively, he's getting paid more money, and his total cap hit in 2023 is going to be $17 million. In 2023, Baker Mayfield would be in the first year of his contract. So, again, it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, pretty sure Austin Hooper's contract is set up the same way. If not him, then I know for a fact that John Conklin's is.
He can lose Hooper.
I'm just saying, the cap hit, you got to look at how much these guys are going to have against the cap, because you can't bring in all. That's the luxury of having a rookie quarterback, because you could bring in guys to surround and make them better. But when you have Baker Mayfield, when you have to pay Baker Mayfield, you can't bring in the supporting cast around him. Nick Chubb, going to demand money.
What about Leonard Floyd?
What about Leonard Ford?
I mean, you're talking about you're talking about the future years from now for the Browns, but that's not
Right.
the way we're talking about for
The Rams,
Rams.
$18 million in the hole right now.
On.
Rams are $18 million in the hole.
They can maneuver the cap, man, like the Saints did.
It's so annoying. I think the salary cap's a joke.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something like we said, this was a need. It's not even like they overpaid, but this is something they needed to do, and it was
of course, and they should. And like hindsight, I would still do it 1,000 times out of 1,000. I'm just saying, in the future, they won't be able to have this luxury of signing these players when they have to pay Baker Mayfield big money. That's all I'm saying. That's why the Patriots can go out and sign all these guys to these crazy contracts, because they're paying Cam Newton $3.5 million. People are overhyping this whole $14 million thing. It's 3.5. He can earn up to 14 with incentives. It's a 3.5 base contract. Dietrich Wise Jr. is making more money than Cam Newton is. Like, that's a luxury when you have a guy making nothing. You can pay the supporting cast a lot. You can pay your tight end $60 million. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get to the New York Giants moves. They let Kevin Zeitler walk. They re-signed Leonard Floyd, which was much needed. They signed John Ross from the Bengals, and they signed Devontae Booker at running back from the Raiders.
I want to know what you think.
I'm very mixed. They needed to re-sign Leonard Williams. That was huge. If they lost him, because they also lost Delvin Tomlinson, which I think is more of a hit than people realize. I think he was one of the more underrated nose tackles in the league. But
nose tackles don't get enough love.
Yeah, Delvin Tomlinson was one of the best. But so that sucked. But if you would have lost Tomlinson and Leonard Williams, Leonard Williams was worth the money. We can talk about overpay, all that. That he deserved that. And if they lose him, that defense goes from borderline top 10 to like average, below average defense. My opinion, that needed to be done. Even if you had to lose Kevin Zeitler, which I think is why. Hopefully they draw. I think they're either going Galladay or they're getting a receiver in the first round. If they can get Galladay, then they can take an offensive line, because that offensive line still ass right now. They got to fix that. They're not going to be good if that offensive line is just not good. That's my one problem.
Albert Breer reported today, I'd be pretty surprised if Kenny Galladay wound up a Giant.
Yeah,
I
I personally I've never seen that, to be honest. I don't know why that was a thing.
It's because Giants fans are delusional.
But
Sorry.
yeah, no, I mean, especially with this Leonard Williams signing, that less money, but
Yeah, I don't think Galladay will end up a Giant. It just seems like one of those things where people want to see it, but I just
is Wayne Gallman a free agent? Because that Booker signing was weird to me.
yeah, I have no idea about that.
That was weird.
I think it's just more of an insurance pick for him. Um, the Giants supposedly like the Giants are making moves. They're trying to make moves for these big time receiving free agents. They were apparently in the mix for tight end Hunter Henry, but I don't know. I have so mixed emotions about this because yes, like you get the deal done with Leonard Williams, but like 3 years for 63 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. 20 a year for Leonard. I don't know. I mean, again, it's one of those things you got to lock him down. And I'm very against. I'm not against, but like I'm very. Uh, I don't use the word overpay loosely, but again, that is a lot of money, and they basically just gave John Ross a prove it contract. You get rid of your best offensive lineman. I don't care about the contract. He's still your best offensive lineman, and he's gone. So, like you lock down your house, but you're not really bringing in a whole lot of.
I don't think they're done yet. I mean,
Yeah,
once again, that's
again,
the one thing
but
about how early we're doing this podcast. But
it's tough to talk about. Because again, there's a lot that we have, and dude, we might end up doing a podcast on like Friday or something, just so we can kind of recap, the full things that are. Well, again, like we have a lot of regions that we got to cover. So guys, don't be surprised if there are 2 podcasts this week. But yeah, like right now, as of March 16th at 11:43 p.m., when I'm exhausted as hell, I'm very mixed about this, very lukewarm about what the Giants have been doing so far. It's kind of like tell me more. You know what I mean? Like, you've done a few things. Tell me more. What else are you gonna do? So that's kind of where I am with the Giants.
I mean, obviously, John Ross is not their solution to receiver. I assume that they're going to draft one, but like Jalen Water or somebody. But they got him for 2.5 million for 1 year, and I think this is Daniel Jones is he's a great deep
Oh,
ball
come on.
passer.
I promised myself I wouldn't bring up Daniel
No,
Jones.
we're not. I'm not. I'm just saying he's this deep ball guy, and that's what John Ross is.
Oh
Not
yeah.
saying not saying he's going to be a great starting receiver, but he can mix in there and be a quick little deep threat here and there for a few catches a game, maybe. But I guess we already kind of talked about Delvin Tomlinson to the Vikings. I think that was great for them, especially with the rumors that Daniil Hunter is a little frustrated with his contract. Hopefully they take care of that. But he wants more money. I think it's weird because he didn't even play last year, and it's kind of fair because the people at his position are making more money, and he thinks he deserves it, and he probably does. But it's still kind of weird. I think they can kind of negotiate with that because he didn't even play last year. So why should he deserve more money? I don't know, but oh shit, Coy Linsley to the Chargers, huge, huge, one of the best moves.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a top 3 move. I think it's right up there with John Johnson. I'd probably say this is a bigger move than John Johnson, in my opinion, because I think you lock down the best center in the NFL, and I think that center or offensive line was a bigger need for the Chargers than it was for the Browns, just secondary in general. Um, Look, like I think it's a fantastic signing because I think you're telling Justin Herbert, we believe in you and we are going to get you the help you need, whether that's weapons or, as they let go of Hunter Henry, or whether that's offensive line, we're going to get you the help you need. I think this is a great signing. Again, not an outrageous deal, but it's one of those things where when it's a need, when it's a big need, you dish out the money you need to dish out, and they did that here. I think it's a great signing. Um, yeah, I like signing. Like not a whole lot to really critique about it. I think it's good all around.
All right, I'm going to zoom through a little list of signings. I don't think we should have too many takeaways from Pat P to the Cardinals again. Tyrod Taylor to Houston.
No,
Who
we got to talk
cares?
about that. That's a big signing. That's a big
How?
signing.
I guess.
Because if you look at the 12.5 million, I think this all but says that Deshaun Watson is on his way out. And I think this is almost an admittance by Houston, because you may be looking at me, Michael, what are you talking about? We all know Deshaun Watson's getting traded. We all speculating it, and we all know that Deshaun Watson wants to be traded, but nobody, and if anything, the Houston Texans have been saying we don't want to trade Deshaun Watson. I think this is the first domino that Houston is kind of telling us, okay, we'll sign Tyrod Taylor. Maybe we'll deal Deshaun Watson. I think this is one of the first dominoes to fall. I'm excited to see where Deshaun Watson lands. I have been having a more growing indication that he could potentially end up a Patriot again. That is me being extremely naive and, hopeful. But again, we'll have to see what happens. 440, I will have to ask you a question. If Deshaun Watson ends up a New England Patriot for J.C. Jackson in 800 first round picks, whatever it is, are the Patriots Super Bowl contenders? Are the yes, obviously. Are the Patriots the favorites in the AFC?
I mean, don't forget about the Chiefs.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I think the Chiefs are still favorites, but I don't really care about favorites and contenders, because in my opinion now it's like you can throw out 2, 3, maybe 4 contenders, Super Bowl contenders on each side, and I think that's definitely where the Patriots would be. And it wouldn't be crazy to say that they're going to the Super Bowl, but yeah, I mean, I think the first domino for the Watson thing was Culley's interview. He was like,
Yeah, you see that? Yeah.
quarterback as of now, but things change. Yeah, you're losing him, but
I mean, it's just because the front office has got no balls at all, and they don't have the stones to go out in front of the media and actually say anything themselves. So they're just putting their scapegoat new hire coach out there to just do their bidding for them. I mean, I got no respect for Houston's front office. But again, Nick Caserio, ex-Patriot. I mean, they've been linked to the Patriots for years. I gotta manifest it. I don't know.
Okay, some other signings. Ngakwe to the Raiders. Was that official?
Yeah, it is.
Jason Verrett to the Niners. That was a good move.
Yep, really like that move.
Aquara to the Lions. That pissed me off as a Colts fan. I'm still waiting on the Colts to make one freaking move, man. Haven't done a thing. I don't get it.
I think they lost somebody.
We were supposed to get either Lawson, Aquara, Bud Dupree, and maybe even Shaq Barrett. They all got signed, got snagged, tagged, or whatever. And then I was like, all right, guess we'll just keep Danico Autry. Nope, we lost him now. I think the only guy out there, off the top of my head at least, is Hassan Reddick, who I know is going to want a lot of money, which we have.
Little breaking news on the podcast. We have former Packers running back Jamal Williams is signing a 2-year deal worth up to $7.5 million with the Detroit Lions.
Sucks for him. Damn.
Sucks for DeAndre Swift fantasy season. Damn. I was gonna be splitting carries with Jamal Williams. Well, you know what? Let's talk about Aaron Jones signing then.
I was getting to that, but I think poor Swift. I think he's a good ass running back, but he's not getting any chance, man. Not any chance in Detroit.
I'm very surprised by that. Detroit has been actually attracting free agents. They signed, so obviously they brought back Aquara, and they signed Tyrell Williams very very quickly after he got cut by the Raiders, and now they're signing Jamal Williams. That is, man, it really rings true. Wherever the money is, that's where players will end up. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron Jones, man. I don't get it. How do you sign Aaron Jones instead of Corey Linsley? Debatably one of the best center, probably like he's a top 3 center in the league. That's way more important than the running back, especially considering maybe it's different if their next running back up was like just a scrub. But AJ Dillon, man, he has a bright future. They spent a freaking 2nd round pick on him last year. I'm thinking that's their whole plan. They know they got 1 year left with Aaron Jones and one big money. They'll let him walk. They got AJ Dillon here, and it's not that big of a deal. They still have a great running back, and I don't think that running game changes too much. AJ Dillon's a dog. Um, I don't get it. I don't get how you sign. And all these Packers fans are always. I mean, they're all in my comments. You're not an NFL GM. You don't know. Packers run 2 running back sets. Congrats, but you can't tell me that you'd rather keep Aaron Jones when you have AJ Dillon and let Corey Linsley walk. I don't get that.
Yeah, I I think you're on the same page. I don't understand trade signing running backs to big money. It just I don't get it. And especially when you have a guy like AJ Dillon in that backfield where they spent a relatively high draft pick on him. I want to say it was a 3rd-round pick on him. Maybe it was a second, I forget. But like I don't get that because AJ Dillon showed out in some big time events last year, especially in the divisional versus the Rams. He had some really big plays, and I don't get it. Aaron Jones was going to have a much bigger market outside of the Packers. So I think the Packers kind of say to themselves, like, okay, well, we saved money because he was going to get more money somewhere else. But again, it's still $12 million to a guy who's 27 years old. And I can imagine that in 2 years is not going to be nearly as good as he is right now because he's been hit a lot. He's taken a lot of carries. Yeah, I just don't get it. And I think you make a great point about Corey Linsley. I mean, you got to sign him back, and I just don't understand the Jones signing whatsoever. But I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more signings. I don't think we need to talk about Joe Thuney to the Patriots or Chiefs that much. Good signing. I don't know if that fixed their tackle issue, but Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I think they might be a little bit of a downgrade, but good that they got Thuney. But
Yeah.
Patriot or Bucks get to re-sign Shaq Barrett, Gronk, franchise tag Godwin. They got the same freaking team as last year.
Their team is better next year than it is this year. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
They'll have an actual offseason with Tom Brady to figure things out because, I mean, we watched that game versus the Giants. That team was just figuring things out over the season. Like, they didn't hit their stride until after the Chiefs game. So it's scary. This Bucks team, it's going to be scary next year. And I think it is tough not to pick this team to win the Super Bowl right now. I mean, I think if anything, the Chiefs have gotten worse since the Super Bowl, and the Bucks already beat them, and the Bucks have only gotten better. So I don't know how you don't pick the Bucks, but look, I don't know. Prove me wrong, I guess.
All right. Thoughts? Oh, we got 2 more signings. Jameis Winston re-signs with the Saints.
I don't really have any concrete thoughts on it. What do you think?
I don't know. I think the Taysom Hill contract is freaking weird to me. I don't know about that, but
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't.
I don't know what that is. But yeah, I mean, I think that was the right move for them. Breeze retires. I think they probably liked what I'm still believing in that, just the weird for no reason. It's just a conspiracy theory. But maybe they threw Taysom Hill out there so that Winston didn't succeed and get a better contract somewhere else. I think maybe they like what they saw in them.
I love
But
that conspiracy theory.
yeah. Even though Winston has that turnover issue, maybe the laser eye surgery helped, whatever. I think every Saints quarterback in that system has done well. And I think that Jameis can. And I think he has more talent. I mean, Taysom Hill plays every position, but I think Jameis has more talent than like Teddy Bridgewater did. I think he's got a little potential there. Not like they had to pay a crap ton of money for him. I would agree with what they did there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Taysom Hill thing. I don't get it at all. I don't understand what the contract is. I've seen the word fake contract thrown around. I don't really get it. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't think the Saints are going to be really contending next year. Of course, they really got themselves out of that cap trouble and like quick. I mean, did they really lose anybody that notable besides Quan Alexander? I mean, Janoris Jenkins, I guess, but I mean, it was no one like that crazy.
Henderson.
Besides Drew Brees retiring,
Yeah, I don't know. They maneuvered the cap pretty well. I think they're still 10-16 or 10 and whatever, 17 games.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders to the Bills. That one kind of pissed me off because I don't think it was much needed. I'm not going to say it was a bad move or anything. It was always good to have Emmanuel Sanders, nice veteran. They're going to lose John Brown, so I guess that replaces him. But I wish that didn't happen because you already got Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Gabriel Davis, who I really wanted to see break out next year. I don't think it was needed. I'm not going to say it was a bad move or anything. I just, as a Gabriel Davis fan, I wanted to see him, kind of break out. But I don't know about that with Sanders there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't really care all that much. I mean, he's 34. He's clearly past his prime, and he had some good games last year, for the Saints. But I don't know. I think we'll see at one point during the season. I don't know if it's gonna be week 1, but I think at one point we're gonna see Gabe Davis over Emmanuel Sanders in the depth chart. Um,
Deshaun Watson is facing allegations of a sexual assault in a lawsuit filed on behalf of female masseuse. That's weird. That's a weird one.
Yikes. Uh-oh. Is that gonna affect anything on the field?
I don't know. I'm done talking about Watson, dude. Something's just got to happen, man. It's going to be months before he goes somewhere. I think, I don't know. Bears, nah. 49ers, Broncos, Panthers. Who the hell knows?
Patriots.
Uh,
I'll tell you, it's not gonna happen. I gotta manifest it.
Colts.
Colts.
Yeah. That's for the Colts, since we haven't made moves, it's still weird. I still think Ballard's a great GM. Not sure. He never wants to spend money in free agency. He never does. We have the second most cap space in the league right now. Throughout all the other signings.
All right,
There's
but again,
guys out there. I want Galladay, obviously. If not, I'm cool with Juju, and I would like to get Curtis Samuel. I think he fits the Colts offense really well. Just
the top 4 receivers are Curtis Samuel in no order, obviously. Curtis Samuel, Will Fuller, Kenny Galladay, and Juju, right?
Yep.
What's the Colts' biggest need?
Receiver.
So none of those guys have gone yet. So like
that's what I'm saying.
The Colts are I would be very surprised if the Colts didn't sign any of those receivers. I
bet it'll be Curtis Samuel, and I still like that, but who knows if it's a problem solver, but
I would be shocked if they didn't land any of those guys. I'd be shocked.
But I don't want Hassan Reddick, but I don't really know if he's worth the money. And we have the money, and we need an edge rusher. I don't know. I think he's a tad bit overhyped because of that 6-sack game he had. Inflated his numbers a little bit. He's still great. I'd still love to have him, but he's definitely going to want big money. Who knows? But I think, obviously, our biggest needs receiver and edge rusher, then corner and left tackle. I think I would love to get. I hope J.C. Horn or somebody in the draft, or maybe if Bateman's there. But I think Ballard's going to address all of that, honestly. But it just sucks waiting. I'm sitting here come on, make a move.
I know the Patriots haven't done anything. It's just so annoying. Can they just make a move or something?
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
They never make any moves, so this has been very odd to see.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably drop this episode tonight for the people out there. Probably gonna see it tomorrow, but we'll probably get a feature on next week. Who knows? Everyone, if you're not subscribed to this channel, I'm not sure what you're doing. About to hit a half a G.
Yep.
Yeah. Go check out the TikToks, all other platforms, and all that. But
I'm doing Twitter now, dude. I think I put out 40 posts on Twitter in the last day.
I like Twitter. I usually tweet a few times a day, and I do some videos on it. But I got 600 something followers. It's pretty fun. I like Twitter.
I don't think I've ever shouted out the Twitter, so I think I'm at 80 followers or something. I gotta promote it more.
Yeah. All right. Well, peace, people.